What's going on, everyone? My name is Jake, this is where I talk capes, and today we're here to talk about the lovely Spider-Man rumours and news. Some are rumours, some are news, some's going to be wild speculation. Because if you manage to miss it at the Disney, the Disney Consumer Products Show, I believe it's called, at the Disney Consumer Products Show, which is basically where Disney get a lot of people who, I guess they come in and they're like, what's Disney doing soon? They revealed at that show, some guy was there posting on his Instagram, they revealed that villains who are confirmed to be in Spider-Man Brand New Day include Tombstone, Boomerang, and most excitingly, Scorpion. I don't know why I put Boomerang in the middle. He's probably the least. It could be fun. I'm very excited for all of these though. We add this to the news that dropped a couple of months ago that Marvel were looking to cast, and I quote, a female between 30 to 50 to play a villain in Spider-Man 4, and apparently they've eyed Sarah Snook for that role, as well as, and I quote, a male for Spider-Man 4 who is in his 30s to 50s to play a villain who is a, quote, no-nonsense authority figure who sees the world in black and white, loyal, determined, and willing to cross lines to maintain order. So we're getting Mr. Negative, and there's been rumours going around for a while that Marvel reached out to Steven Yeun to play Mr. Negative after he had to drop out of Thunderbolts where he was supposed to play Sentry/Bob. And then also, excitingly for me, this may link into some of these other things, but apparently, according to leaker scooper Daniel RPK, Marvel are currently looking for a Harris Dickinson type actor for a role in Spider-Man Brand New Day. Just get Harris Dickinson, do it, please. And I have some thoughts on who he should play. But before we get to that, let's just break down everything that we know so far. So we are finally getting the long-awaited return of Michael Mando's Scorpion ever since we saw Matt Gargan in Spider-Man Homecoming and we got that post-credit scene in Spider-Man Homecoming. We've basically all been waiting for Scorpion to show up, and it kind of just felt like we weren't going to get it, especially as Spider-Man continued to grow and get bigger and bigger and more fantastical. He went to space, he visited the multiverse, he went to Venice. But obviously, No Way Home ends with everyone forgetting who Peter Parker is, and we finally get Peter Parker where he should be. I believe all Spider-Man fans would agree Peter Parker is at his best when he is 1, broke, 2, struggling, 3, on the street level, 4, horrifically depressed. I want to see my Spider-Man going through it at all times. I never want to see him happy, because that's when he's the best. So with the stage being set for a much smaller and more grounded scale of a story and a much more, I don't want to say lower tier of story, but not something as grand and fantastical as the multiverse or, Endgame or whatever, just something more contained and street level in New York, that opens up the possibilities for Scorpion much more than it did before. And I'm very excited. Now, if I had this channel when I was 17, back when Spider-Man Homecoming came out, there would have been think piece on think piece on think piece about where we could go next, what we should do next, where do we go with Scorpion, all filmed on my iPad and edited on iMovie, out there for everyone to see, although I probably would have made them private by now. But regardless, I've been on the train for Michael Mando's Scorpion from the beginning. And then we did not have another Spider-Man movie until after Endgame. I was very critical of that. I was always, from the jump, critical of that. I thought, it's too big, it's too much. We've had one Spider-Man movie, we've seen him be in 2 things, and now he's fighting Thanos, and yeah, that's cool, it's Spider-Man, we all love Spider-Man, but then it becomes, the big, grand, Tony Stark level threat movie, Iron Man, weapons of mass destruction given to a child movie, and I started to think, oh Christ, what are we doing? Because Scorpion seemed to fit less and less and less. But here we are with the status quo reset, Peter completely alone, and Scorpion back on the fucking bill, baby. I'm very excited. I don't have much more to say about this. I've still not watched Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I've seen a lot of people saying that they'd be a lot more excited for this if he wasn't just a major player in the animated show. Same with Tombstone, apparently Tombstone's in it, but it's just Lonnie. He's like a classmate of Peter in that. So that's kind of cool. I guess I'll still have to watch it. I think the voice actor coming out like the day before being like, oh, it's a good show because it's not woke, like 2 or 3 days before it came out, I went from being like so excited and ready to watch it on day 1 to just kind of being like, oh, why? I've still not got around to watching it. I've heard it's amazing, and I have heard that Scorpion is in this. I've seen a lot of people say their excitement is dulled because they're maybe just going to do something that's probably just very similar to what they did in the cartoon. But I don't care, it's Scorpion, it's Michael Mando, let's fucking go, baby. The next villain announced for this film then is Tombstone. Tombstone, Lonnie Lincoln, is a gang leader. He's a big dude with albinism, big scary dude with albinism. He has bulletproof skin because he was exposed to a chemical. Very crucially though, he is a black man with albinism, so that's something we need to think about. Admittedly, we kind of have the perfect casting. It's someone who's already played him. Is his name Crondon? Is that like his rapper name? One second. So, Tombstone was voiced in Into the Spider-Verse, my favourite superhero movie of all time, by this dude, Crondon, or I believe Marvin Jones III is his real name, I believe. He's a rapper, an actor, and he is a black man with albinism. So, it's kind of perfect. I don't really think we need to go much further than that. We have a Tombstone. Let this man be Tombstone. He was apparently cast to be Tombstone in El Muerto before that got canned. Rest in peace, El Muerto. But Tombstone is a villain that I like mostly. He's not one of the most interesting... Okay, he is an interesting character, but I think in the pantheon of Spider-Man villains, he's not the most interesting, but that's also not a knock. Spider-Man has so many incredible and interesting villains that, you know, he's not on the level of some of the most interesting guys, but I still think he's a lot of fun. He's also crucially a childhood friend of Robbie Robertson, who works at the Daily Bugle, who oftentimes takes over from Jonah when Jonah has gone too far and brings the Bugle back to being like a reputable source and a newspaper for the truth and not just a vendetta against Spider-Man and things like that. He's seen as like a mentor to Peter. He's obviously his son, Randy Robertson, lives with Peter, and something we'll talk about soon in Nick Spencer's run. I believe the run is Back to Basics. I've not read all of it, but I've read some of it. I'm getting through it on Marvel Unlimited just now, and it's really good. It's a highly recommended book for a reason. But like I say, Tombstone is a gang leader who typically rises to power whenever Wilson Fisk is out of the picture. Now, I've still not finished Daredevil Born Again either. I know, don't shoot me. Life's been pretty hectic, but I believe that all signs are pointing to Season 2 is going to wrap up the Fisk saga, which I think is a bit of a missed opportunity if we ever have him interact with Spider-Man. Although, does he interact with Spider-Man in the show? I don't know, probably not. I probably would have seen that on Twitter. But regardless, Tombstone kind of tends to rise in that vacuum when Fisk is away in jail. So that could be a lot of fun here. But most importantly, I think it's really fun that he has this pre-existing relationship with Robbie Robertson, one of Peter's mentors. And obviously, like I say, his son is typically Peter's roommate and is his roommate in that Nick Spencer run that I mentioned. And that brings us on to the third confirmed villain of Boomerang. Now, Boomerang isn't someone I thought we'd see. When I heard Boomerang, I kind of thought, that's a bit funny, that's a weird one. But then I thought back to Basics, because like I said, I'm kind of reading it right now. It's kind of, I guess, just good luck that I've been reading that run. As this news came out, that Nick Spencer run from, when is it? It's a fairly recent run. It's from 2018 by Nick Spencer and primarily Ryan Otley on illustrations, and it's really good. So like I say, it's just quite, I guess, serendipitous that I was reading this run when this news got announced, because without reading that, I'd be like, why the fuck would they introduce Boomerang? But we'll talk about who Boomerang is. Boomerang is Frederick Hampton, was born in Australia, moved to America as a kid, played baseball, whatever, then turns to a life of crime for reasons, for money, for power, typical villain reasons. The interesting thing about Fred Hampton is Peter and Randy Robertson's third roommate. So when they're all broke and struggling to get an apartment, they find this other guy who moves in with them. And there is this great thing through it where Spider-Man is living with one of his villains and they don't know. And then obviously Peter finds out and he's like, oh god, Boomerang is my other roommate. And it's a really fun thing. And I think especially where we are with Peter right now, this is a lot of fun. And I'm very excited to see this play out. Because again, Boomerang isn't a character I would ever typically want to see in live action. I think for a movie anyway, I think it could be fun for a couple episodes of a show, but if we're talking movies, we want to talk kind of big players, big overarching players, and Boomerang's just not that. He's a member of the team of Superior Foes of Spider-Man, who are a lot of fun. The Superior Foes of Spider-Man are like a sort of team of like D, C, I'd say their highest ranking, they're all kind of D tier Spider-Man villains. Including the second Beetle, who's Janice Lincoln, who is Tombstone's daughter as well, so this could be a lot of fun here. But they're probably like the highest up the chain of villains in the Superior Foes of Spider-Man is the Shocker, who's like best a C+ tier villain. Let's be honest, his best moments are that fight in the game and this. Shocker! But now we have Tombstone, which means we're probably going to get Robbie, which means we're also probably going to get Janice, which means we're probably going to get Randy, and we have Boomerang. So we have all these characters kind of tied in together, and those are the three villains that have been confirmed. Now this as well, combined with the news of the Mr. Negative news that I was talking about earlier, the Mr. Negative rumour that I was talking about earlier, probably to be played by Stephen Yeun, which I think is a lot of fun. That's great, and this leads us to one of the rumoured plot lines and storylines for this movie being a gang war. Because Tombstone is a gang leader, Mr. Negative is a gang leader, Scorpion's probably just an enforcer, Boomerang's definitely just an enforcer. We may still have Kingpin as well. I think that's a lot of fun here. I think that's so much fun here. And I think as well, if you don't know who Mr. Negative is, probably most famous for being in the game, in the 2018 PS4 game, and then also again he's in the PS5 game as well. But he's kind of his big breakout role, I guess, or appearance, I should say, was from the game. And Mr. Negative is Martin Lee. He's a sort of philanthropist and businessman and entrepreneur and stuff like that. Kind of self-made man who's looking to improve New York, but he's got these powers, and Mr. Negative is the evil side of him, and he has a gang of the demons, it's called. It's all kind of rooted in like Chinese folklore and mythology and things like that. And you have to remember that Destin Daniel Cretton is directing this. Destin Daniel Cretton, of course, directed Shang-Chi, so I feel like adding in the sort of references to Chinese mythology and folklore and things like that, we have a director who has showed he's able to do things like that without it feeling forced and hokey and culturally appropriate, first and foremost. And I suppose it's obviously because we've not just got, another white Spider-Man director, I guess. So I think that could be a lot of fun. But kind of most importantly for me, and most interestingly for me, is one of the last things that May does, Marissa Tomei's Aunt May does, is sign up to volunteer at the Feast Shelter, which is like a homeless shelter in New York, which is typically, Feast is a charity, typically run and organised by Martin Lee, by Mr. Negative. So after losing May and after going completely insular and shutting himself off and no one remembers who he is and turning away to this life of solitude, he's going to start to open up in this movie. He's going to befriend Randy Robertson. He's going to befriend Fred Myers. He's going to befriend and trust and look up and see a mentor in Martin Lee. And he's very soon going to find out that two of them are the people he's trying to fight as Spider-Man. This is a lot of fun. Now, again, there's quite a lot of villains here, especially as well that we have this rumour of a 30 to 50-year-old villain that apparently Sarah Snook has been approached for. I've seen a lot of people thinking that could be Silver Sable, which I think could be fun here, especially if you bring in Sable to, kind of quell the gang war. But I think at that point you kind of just risk it running way too close to the story of the game, possibly. But I still think this could be a lot, because all these characters are in the game, apart from Boomerang and Beetle that I've mentioned. Mr. Negative is a major player in the game. Scorpion is a part of the game. Tombstone is a part of the game as well. You fight Shocker in the game, forget the superior foes of Spider-Man. And obviously there is the worry that this movie is getting a little bit too overstuffed with characters here, but I think there's a way to do all this. I don't think you make Boomerang such a major player in this in terms of, he could be like a C-plot, and I don't think we need to see Spider-Man fight Boomerang, but like a proper big fight Boomerang, but I think we still need to see that relationship grow. And maybe he doesn't even find out in this one, but we still have that tension set. And doing this as well, and having all these characters to introduce, whilst it might seem daunting, they're not all going to be treated with the same weight. They're not all going to be treated with the same sort of importance within the story. And this is a great way to just really set how vibrant and alive and colourful the street level is. And hey, if it is Silver Sable, maybe Sable will come in at the end of the movie. Maybe Sable will come in at the end of the movie to sort all this out. So maybe she's only in this for 10 minutes and we have a cliffhanger and we need to go into Spider-Man 5. There is a lot of people talking about how this could feel overstuffed, but I'm right up for it. I'm right into it. And that leads us on to the final bit that I wanted to talk about, which was the Harris Dickinson type actor they want to cast. Now, if you know me, you know I love Harris Dickinson. He's one of my favourite working actors right now. See How They Run, poster behind me, is an absolutely... I looked over the wrong shoulder. It's over here. It's over there on my screen. So I got confused. I am no more than a performing monkey. But he's been one of my favourite actors since I watched him in See How They Run. Then I never finished Triangle of Sadness because I can't remember what happened. But I didn't finish. But I remember watching it, I remember thinking he was a lot of fun in it. Never went back to it. I probably will go back to it at some point, but I remember really enjoying him in it. Scrapper is one of my favourite, more underrated films of the last few years. Obviously, he's in The Iron Claw. He was in the Fingering movie. He's been in a lot of stuff recently. He was in The King's Man as well. And again, like I said in my X-Men casting rumours video from like a month or two ago, I don't remember him being particularly bad in that movie, which means he must have been one of the better things about that movie, because everything I remember about that movie is pretty bad. But if we're going to cast a Harris Dickinson type, let's just cast Harris Dickinson. And there's really no other role here than Harry. If we cast a Harris Dickinson type, we're casting for Harry Osborn. We have to be casting for Harry Osborn here. Now, do we do this? Because would Peter be trusting of an Osborn after he found out through the multiverse that they all have an Aunt May and they all have an Uncle Ben, and you know, they find out that both of them have the same kind of villains and things like that? Or so do we do this? Would he be trusting of Harry Osborn if he meets him? I don't think so. But how do we do this? Because that's Harry. Maybe he's going by his mother's name because he's had a big falling out with Norman, and then we meet Norman in movie 5 possibly. But I think we have to introduce Harry soon. We have to introduce Norman soon. My only issue with Harris Dickinson playing Harry is he's not he doesn't match who I want for Norman. Because I want Coleman Domingo for Norman. He played him in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Again, still not watched it. I've heard he's incredible in it. Of course he's incredible in it. As soon as I heard that news, I immediately was like, bring this to the live action. I know this show isn't canon. I know, you know, people then might start asking the questions of, oh, but if he's Norman in both, why is it not this? And, like, who cares? Coleman Domingo would do it. Coleman Domingo would absolutely do it. He's a star on the rise, and he's just getting more and more famous and more beloved, and he's fucking incredible. I love him so much, and he would be an absolutely fantastic Norman Osborn. Now, who does that leave us for with Harry? I don't know, man. I'm not a casting director. I do think Harris Dickinson is a perfect Harry, and I also think there are a lot of good and fun Normans out there that are also white to pair up with Harris Dickinson. I mean, that being said, I guess we don't need to have a white Norman and a white Harry, or a black Norman and a black Harry, because of Fant Four Stick. Oh, fuck! That's the second time I mentioned it on this channel. Last time I said, that literally just hit me there. Last time I said I wanted that to be the only time I mentioned that movie on this channel. I don't like that movie. I don't know. But then I guess we then run the thing of saying that Harris Dickinson is mixed race, and that's not good. I think though, when you see that, I immediately think Harry. I don't think of anyone else but Harry when I see that. So to me, that feels like the obvious pick there. So that's all my thoughts and my speculation on the rumours and the confirmed villains in this movie. So let me know what you think of all this down in the comments down below. You know, is there anyone else that I'm kind of missing that could possibly play Tombstone that's not Crondon? You know, it's admittedly a bit of a blind spot for me in terms of who I want to play a Boomerang. Again, I don't think you get in a Harris Dickinson to play a minor role as Boomerang. You know, let me know what you think of what you think of all these rumours, of all this news, all the speculation I have. Do you have any fun and wild speculation? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Show us to all your mates and tell them about the handsome man on YouTube with the good Spider-Man opinions. Once again, guys, my name is Jake. This is where I talk capes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.